we're entering into a new normal. Um, things that were once common, or things that were once uncommon are now suddenly a reality.
Mhm.
How do you envision the new normal after this is over with?
Well, I think at least for next year, we're all going to be wearing masks, just going outside. I think that's a given. Um, I hope, I hope that the new normal involves a lot of testing. That's been Germany's strategy for dealing with the virus. If we can all have like a weekly testing thing, or like a daily temperature check or something, uh, you know, just like ways like that are not super inconvenient, but that also are pretty effective for determining where an outbreak might come. Um, I think because a lot of with the new normal, what I tend to think about is in terms of universities, because that's what's really like up for debate right now, and what's kind of unsure. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't really see big lectures again, or at least in the next few years,
Hmm.
because it's not really like a give and take, like a discussion section, and it's a far greater risk for a coronavirus transmission. So I wouldn't be surprised if that just went to all online. I don't think that universities in and of themselves will go online. I think that people are too ingrained in the college experience to want to fully move to that. I think a number of jobs might, because a lot of businesses are finding now you can just hire people to do things remotely and get it done just as well.
Yeah, I think working remotely will be a new norm. Um, Post coronavirus, but when this is, when we get a vaccine and the cases start to go down and we're back to normal life again, um, I have a feeling that working from home will be a much more of a mainstay. People work from home now, but uh,
Yeah.
it's a pretty small percentage of the country. But I have a feeling that post coronavirus, post pandemic, that working from home will be a lot more common. I think some people like working from home, and now that it's available,
Yeah.
I think it'll be a lot more
Yeah.
common.
Yeah. I also think I think we might see kind of the rise of suburbs again, and more and almost like white flight in like the 60s and 70s. A lot of people leaving cities, which I kind of hope for because it means, as a New Yorker, real estate prices go down. New York gets a little funkier. Becomes more of a hotspot for art. You can actually like afford things. Becomes more like New York in the 70s. So I think we might kind of see major cities go back to that, a little bit of urban decay, and maybe even a flourish of art and music. That's just me hoping.
That's another interesting thing. We haven't had a lot of movies and TV shows, music come out in this. What do you expect when you have all this time to curate your art? How do you think? What do you expect from that when that's over?
Yeah. Um, I almost wonder because like rap and hip hop has kind of ruled popular music for a decent amount of time now. I almost wonder if a new genre is going to take its place after this. But more so than a new genre, I wonder if we're going to get a new subject matter for music as the mainstay. Because uh, to me, it seems like love has been like the main subject, like bread and butter for musicians for like this foreseeable ever of like recorded music.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that became more shifted more towards introspection, since that's what a lot of our time now is spent doing. Um, in terms of TV and film, because I'm actually becoming a part of this now. Uh, I mean, I think it's tough for bigger budget things. Like for smaller budget things, like I'm trying to convince my dad to start marketing himself and myself as like kind of the quarantine crew. Because together, I mean, we have the gear. We got multiple cameras. We got lighting. We got sound stuff. We got a car. We can like do anything in the Northeast on like a day's notice. Um, and just like shoot whatever people want us to. And that's basically what we did last week. Just get like a little music video. So I think projects like that are going to slowly start to come back more. I think there probably aren't going to be that many movies at the Oscars this year because there just won't be. It's impossible to make them in a big budget sense. I do know of someone who just got hired to produce a series done entirely through Zoom or like through Skype or something, which I think that gimmick's gonna fade in like 10 minutes. It works for like podcasts and stuff like this, which were already being done beforehand. Uh, but
Done through Zoom. Hmm. I mean, I think you're right. That's a fade that's gonna that's like a that's a trend less
yeah,
than like a mainstay.
yeah. Did you see the Parks and Recreation reunion show?
I have not, mostly because I had never watched the show beforehand,
Uh,
but it sounds,
Fair enough.
you know,
I Well, I recommend the show, but the reunion was basically that. It was just like everybody on the Zoom call, doing like old jokes, and I didn't find it very funny. Although I think actually a lot of people enjoyed it, so I'm in the minority there.
I,
But it felt so gimmicky.
they had a horse competition for the NBA, and it was terrible. It was genuinely terrible. It was like the camera quality was terrible, the audio quality was terrible for most.
Mm,
And these are basketball players that make millions of dollars, and it was atrocious. I like what they were trying to do, but it was just like it was really bad. I watched the
yeah.
first. I didn't watch the finals for it. It was just really sad.
Mm, yeah. Musicians though, man. I wonder how many albums are being planned right now. Um,
Well,
you know.
they could release albums now. I feel
Yeah.
like they have to wait. They could release some tour later. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's you mean of like albums that have already been recorded pre-coronavirus?
Yeah, like if you well, even if you're recording it now, if the album's done, release it. People have so much time to listen to it right now.
I mean, people have their reasons. I mean, I have a friend, Mr. Johnny Ferris, who also appears on What's Going On, who's been working on an album for like it was supposed to come out a year ago, and I think it's finally going to come out pretty soon. And people are perfectionists. They take months and months to put finishing touches on. I know how that feels. It's like when the time is right.